you and welcome. My name is Mike, and in this video we're gonna... some kind of idiots say that video games make people more violent. Well, in this video we're gonna look at one that actually seems to, be along those lines. It is a video game based upon a real-life terrorist attack. It was made by the cult that performed the attack, and it's just generally creepy as hell. Let's get into it. Okay, first things first, let's take a look at the cult itself. I'm sure you've heard of them, Aum Shinrikyo. It was a Japanese doomsday cult, and woof, it deserves an entire video by itself, but if you're unfamiliar, I'll just give you the gist of it. Founded in 1984 by Shoko Asahara, who was essentially blind, a bully, and a conman, he formed the cult and then proclaimed that he was Jesus Christ himself.
超能力があなたを変えるですね。なるほど。超能力があなたを変えるというわけでございますね。今日はどうもいろいろお話ありがとうございました。どうも。
Okay, good for him. But people declaring themselves to be like the new version of Jesus, that never really ends well. The cult grew and grew. He appeared on TV shows and magazine covers, ran for parliament even. And Shoko Asahara, being Jesus, according to himself, then proclaimed that the end of the world was coming, and that only he and his followers would be safe. The usual doomsday cult bullshit, essentially. Now, he proclaimed that only him and his followers would be safe, but I don't think he liked his followers very much because they were tortured. The Aum Shinrikyo cult were abusing their members, torturing people, blackmailing. They even murdered multiple members who tried to leave. For example, when one woman escaped the cult, they began threatening her brother, demanding to know where she was. He had left a note saying, "If I disappear, I was abducted by Aum Shinrikyo." And he was. He was murdered and his body was disposed of in a microwave incinerator, if you can believe it. They had previously killed or made disappear a lawyer and his family after he threatened a lawsuit. In 1994, they released sarin gas near the homes of judges who were going to rule against them in a real estate dispute, killing 8 and harming 500 more. Police, however, were unable to implicate the cult in this attack. They believed that the end of the world was coming, and that only they would reach enlightenment. They would also be the ones who would start the apocalypse. One thing we should note is they had a growing affinity for nuclear weapons. Yeah. What had started in a yoga studio while on LSD became murders, kidnappings, assassinations, and terrorist attacks. But it was one attack in particular for which they became infamous internationally. On the morning of the 20th of March 1995, at prime rush hour, Aum Shinrikyo released sarin gas on 5 trains in the Tokyo subway system, killing 13 commuters and injuring over 1,000 more. Many of those injured also died later. It is considered Japan's worst domestic terror attack. The government cracked down and arrested nearly all members of the cult. And, if you can believe it, as recently as last year, in 2018, Shoko Asahara and 12 members of Aum Shinrikyo were executed on death row.
Shoko Asahara, the leader of the doomsday cult behind the deadly 1995 nerve gas attack on the Tokyo subway system, was executed by hanging on Friday.
Crazy story, but what's even crazier is that the cult still exists. Not just in Japan, but in Russia too. In fact, on January 1st, 2019, an Aum Shinrikyo sympathizer rammed his car into pedestrians protesting the executions. Thankfully, no one was killed, but 9 were injured. Now we get to, and I'm really gonna butcher this, Kamikuishiki-mura Monogatari. Yeah, that sounds about right. Now, Aum Shinrikyo made manga, songs, animes before, all propaganda for the cult. So a video game seems like the next logical step. This highly disturbing game, seemingly built by the cult, but I'm not entirely sure, it seems to have been made by Aum Soft, so the name kind of, gives it away. Who, being almost as sadistic as FromSoft, Dark Souls reference, it's essentially a management game where you build resources to deploy sarin gas without getting caught to lead to world peace. Because that's essentially how these things go, right? You just release gas, kill those innocent people, and you're kind of home free. Essentially, the exact terrorist attack that occurred in 1995. As it was built by Aum Soft, or at least that's the logo we see, it's clearly another piece of propaganda. We're also not sure when this was made, however, likely after the attack by either the remaining and hiding cult members or cult sympathizers. It's actually incredibly disturbing. I nearly would have put this on a creepy video games urban legend video, but this is actually real. It features Shoko Asahara peeing into bottles, maybe? Patting boys on the head. It features women dancing wearing outfits, which was part of the time Aum Shinrikyo ran for Japanese parliament. Yep, as I've mentioned, they did that. It also has probably the most annoying soundtrack I've ever heard, ever. It has actual recordings of the cult and cult members displayed throughout the game. With images on the upper right so you can get a good look at the insanity. Here we also see young women dancing in public, presumably in celebration of your glorious attack. Researching this says that the cult was well known for such displays, so bonus points for accuracy. We also get this guy jumping up and down on his crossed legs, which frankly, it looks like a creepypasta. Apparently, he was attempting to levitate and having about as much success as you might think. The game has a good ending, and it shows a hell of a lot of real photos of the cult. Shin-chan, for some reason, was not expecting him to pop up, and clips from their official anime, which includes Asahara flying around like a madman. Well, he actually was a madman. Also, Aum Shinrikyo's official theme song, so enjoy that if you want a new ringtone. And here you can see the bad ending, with a nuclear apocalypse and zombies. Also, throughout the video game, we see victims of the cult. People who were killed for either trying to expose them or trying to find family members who had disappeared upon joining Aum Shinrikyo. And also, shit like this. The disturbing thing is that the cult is still around, so I wonder if the player count is strong. The cult is still believed to have about 2,100 members, and continues to recruit new members under the name Aleph, as well as other names. They supposedly renounced the cult's violent past, though to be fair, you would say that. However, they still continue to follow Asahara's spiritual teachings. I tried finding more information on this game, but it actually doesn't have much of an online presence, at least in the English-speaking part of the internet. So the 2 years I took of Japanese 10 years ago, they're not really going to cut it this time. I'm sorry. Thank you so much for watching, I really appreciate it. I'll see you as always, real soon in the next video, coming in a couple of days, so see you then. All the best, take care of yourselves, Mike out.